This is Bliss Oasis. Change your thinking, change your life.
Sema jambo, jambo, jambo bwana, jambo bwana. Habari gani? Habari gani? Mzuri sana. Jambo, jambo bwana. Habari gani? Mzuri sana. Tuimbe, tucheze sote. Kiswahili ni lugha ya Afrika. Jambo, jambo bwana. Habari gani? Mzuri sana. Tuimbe, tucheze sote. Kiswahili ni lugha ya Afrika. Sema jambo, jambo, jambo bwana, jambo bwana. Habari gani?
Hello and welcome again to Bliss Oasis Africa. I'm your host, Patrick Ngugi. How many musical groups or bands do you know that have lasted for 5 decades? Well, perhaps you don't know any. I know at least one, and that is them Mushrooms, which proudly represents Kenya on the international musical scene. And today, Bliss Oasis is privileged to host John Katana Harrison, the band leader, who will tell us a lot about his group. Please subscribe to this channel so that you can continue receiving our videos. A message from Bliss Oasis Africa. Magical, yes. There's no one out there stopping you from achieving your desires but yourself. Say, yes, I can, and often attract what you desire. Or say, no, I can't, and repel what you are yearning for. When we choose to say yes, we allow our dreams to come true. Say, yes, I can, and everything changes, filled with empowering life force energy. Life opens up for us in magical ways. When you say, yes, I can, supportive people, circumstances appear. Saying, yes, I can unlocks many doors. Yes, I can open new, say, yes, I can open new business. Yes, I can have relationship of my dreams. Yes, I can make good money. When you say, no, I can't, you deprive yourself of what you truly deserve. Replace no with yes. And now, welcome to the Mushroom story, as told by John Katana. Karibuni. Welcome to Bliss Oasis Africa, where we bring you stories of everyday Kenyans who have made a mark in their careers or in their chosen field. And today our guest is not an older Kenyan rather, but he is in a way extraordinary. And our guest has over almost 50 years of experience in the entertainment industry. And he has built a solid reputation in showbiz, entertainment industry, with a proven track record in project planning and event management. He is also an accomplished instrumentalist, songwriter, composer, arranger, producer, and performer. Welcome to Bliss Oasis. My name is Patrick Ngugi, and our guest today is Desmond Katana Harrison. Karibu, Desmond.
Thank you so much. Call me Katana. That's the name I like to be referred to. So
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Patrick, for having me on your show. And
Yes,
I look forward to
yes.
sharing a lot of information.
Yeah, you're welcome. In fact, I just discovered your other name. That's maybe why I tried to talk about to mention it, Desmond. I knew for a long time, very many years ago. We went to school together, And I remember as John Katana simply, and these days I only call you as Katana, as we just suggested. And it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure because since those days you have really gone places, done things. And I know the Mushroom Band was started in 1972. That's quite some time ago. And it's one of the bands that I think not one of, I think it's the only band, not only in Kenya, but in East Africa, which has lasted for so long, whether family or not family, because there are many other family bands that have started and they are no longer there. Before you tell us your history about the band and yourself, tell us what is the secret? What has kept you together for so long?
Well, I think the longevity is from God. It's God's grace.
Yeah.
And then the desire to keep going, you know.
Yeah.
We are a band that keeps reinventing ourselves probably every 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Try to do something new that will keep us relevant in the industry.
Okay.
So those two things have kept us going. We thank the Lord. Yeah.
Being relevant.
Yes.
Can you explain, like, when you started in 1972, how different are you almost 50 years later?
Okay, like when we started, we used to be a cover band. That means we used to play cover versions of other bands or musicians' music.
Okay.
Along the way, we desired to become our own, you know, have our own identity, our own music. So we started composing, and we've never stopped. That
Yeah.
actually is what has kept us going,
Yeah.
because every 5-6 years, we do a style for a certain period, and then we come and change the style, looking at the target audience we want to reach in that
Okay.
time.
Okay.
So it's worked very well for us.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that the Mushroom was started by a group of brothers. I mean, some brothers, maybe and a cousin. Can you tell us short history, how it started, why it started, and did you, maybe your parents were musicians? What's the story behind the Mushrooms? First of all, why did
Okay,
you say? First of all, why did you decide to call yourself the Mushrooms, Uyoga?
I knew that would come up.
Yeah.
Okay, number one. Okay, I'll answer that first and then I'll answer the other question.
All right.
When we started out, we used to be called Avenida Success.
Avenida.
Avenida. We don't know what that meant. We were kids.
You just
And
picked it.
yeah, my elder brother who founded the band had that bug or gene or knack of giving names, you know. So he called the band Avenida Success. But then when we grew as a band and when we started doing our own music, prior to that, we said we had to have our own identity.
Yes.
And we had to have a name that would be catchy. So one day in rehearsal room, he said, why don't we call ourselves Mushrooms? We will grow all over like the wild mushrooms. That was his explanation.
Okay.
Yeah, you know. And then the next day he came back and said, but you know, if we call ourselves the Mushrooms, we have so many peer bands around that are the something, like the Islanders, the Peacemakers, the Vikings.
Oh, yes.
Why don't we call ourselves them Mushrooms to be very different from them?
Okay.
And we get our own identity. So that's how the name came up. Them Mushrooms. We wanted to be different, and we have been different since then.
Actually, you became different, and you were wondering why the M, but now you've explained. Tell us, were your parents musicians? Did they have a musical background?
Yeah, our mother used to sing in a choir, church choir.
Okay.
And our father played saxophone for a while, but he was not really a musician. He was more of a politician come businessman.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess that's where we got the gene from.
Yeah, apparently. So, what happens around 1972? I mean, how How did your brother, I mean, you just have a need a thing, mlianzaje so that let's start a band? Or was it gradual? Maybe two brothers were doing the music, the others joined, or you came together and said, let's start a band?
Okay, our eldest brother, the founder of the band, Teddy,
Teddy Kalanda.
yeah, Teddy Kalanda Harrison, he used to have friends who are musicians, and he used to follow them that time, everywhere, learning how to play the guitar. He started off by playing the guitar, and then luckily, sometime around 1969 thereabout,
Yeah.
there was a staff party where our father, late father, used to work, and I was given a carpentry tool set
You.
as a Christmas present.
He was given.
I was given.
You were given, yeah.
Yeah, I was given. So when we got home, I didn't know what to do with it. I was very young, and he made the first guitar using those tools,
Wow.
made out of the strings were fishing lines, and then the frets he made out of a tin, the edge of a tin, and then just some wood he picked from somewhere. That was the beginning of the musical story in our family. And I have photos of that, playing that guitar.
You will send us so that we can fix it here.
Yes, I can send you the photo.
Yeah, later, yeah.
And that's how it all started. So we had this one guitar at home, makeshift guitar, and started rehearsing from there. And from after that, we used to borrow a guitar from that one. And then one day, our late uncle, cousin to our mother, started a band. And he had seen the talent in us. So every time his band finished rehearsing, we would rehearse on the same instruments. So that's how the band started.
Was this in
It's
Kilifi?
a long story.
Was this back home in Kilifi? You're from
No,
Kilifi?
in Mombasa. We were born and brought up in Mombasa.
In Mombasa. So when the wooden guitar was made by your dad, how old were you?
By my brother Teddy. Teddy is the one who made the guitar.
How he's the one who made the guitar. So how old were you? How old were you? Well, you were in primary school, I'm sure.
About 10, 11, thereabout. 10, 11, 12.
So you're about class 3 or 4.
Yeah.
All right. So eventually you started the Mushrooms around 72 and as a cover band.
In fact, it was 12th December 1972 when the Mushrooms came into being.
Okay. And you used to play at clubs, nightclubs?
Initially, we used to play at weddings, wedding receptions. And later on, we started playing at boogies. Those days, boogies started at 2 up to around 6 because we were very young and we were not allowed to stay out late by our parents. And then as we grew, we started performing at nightclubs and at other functions,
Yes.
So that's how we progressed.
Okay. And you went to Buxton Primary School?
Sorry?
You went to Buxton Primary School?
Yes. Buxton Primary School, now known as Ronald Ngala.
Ronald Ngala, yes. And then in 1972, you went to Alidina Visram High School?
Yeah, that's when I joined Alidina Visram High School.
In Form 1?
Yeah.
You are mono, I was there in Form 2, but I never used to see you. Even if I saw you, I would not have recognized you or known you.
In school, I was a very quiet guy, and I was very, a bit quiet so that I didn't want people to know that I was a musician back then, because it was almost odd for a young person like me in high school or secondary school, doubling up as a musician. I used to work late at night, We used to have shows I get home by around 3 o'clock in the morning. I sleep for 2 hours and I dash to school. By 6 o'clock, I'm at school.
Yeah,
By
I remember it was, I think I went back for A level in the same school. And actually in Form 4, I started hearing about you, that you are playing at night in clubs and people are wondering how you're going to make it. I went in Form 5, that's when there was a lot of talk because at that time you're in Form 4. In 1975, I was in Form 5. And there was story. And we would look at you sometime with red eyes, kumbe umeshinda klabu ukicheza muziki.
Yeah, I remember those good old days, you know. Most of my really close friends who knew that I was a musician used to wonder whether I was going to go through my exams well.
Yes.
But I shocked them. Because
Yeah.
I thank God.
Yes,
I could multitask.
Yes, I was one of the people who are shocked because when the exam came, everybody went to check their friends. And of course, you are one of the people were checking. And you did quite well. What was the secret? How did you manage? Because many people can't mix education books and like whatever you are doing.
I guess it was just the balancing act that I could do. I could sleep for 2 hours, wake up very fresh, and study or revise, and then dash off to school. Like I told you, back in the day, we used to perform in Malindi at Watamu on a Wednesday, and then we perform at Malindi on a Thursday, and Friday we are somewhere in Bamburi. And I would get home because crossing over from Malindi or Kilifi to the main island, there was a ferry. Sometimes you miss the ferry. I used to get home at around 5:30. I sleep for half an hour or 1 hour, and I wake up. I just take a shower and I ride my bike to school like madness. But then, on the days that we were not performing, I would make sure that I give my books proper attention. So I would revise, and I'm happy by God's grace when we did the Form 4 exam, I passed very well. Yes. Even my teachers could not believe it, you know.
Yeah, many people did not believe. So after high school, Form 4, where did you go?
After high school, I got admission to the then Egerton College, which is now Kenyatta University.
Oh, in Nairobi.
I wanted to pursue medicine. I wanted to be a doctor. But then those days, some few funny things used to happen. Then I was my admission was the Faculty of Agriculture. And I refused. I said I will not go.
You will not go.
And I started working with the then East African Customs and Excise, which is now KRA. You know, I worked there for 1 year, but there was so much music playing in my head. I quit that job. I quit that job, and then I went with my siblings. 5 of us went into music permanently as professionals.
Yes.
Even them, my elder brothers, quit their jobs.
So now this was sometime in the 80s.
Yeah, I think I would say around late 70s. In fact, early 80s.
Early 80s. Because your brothers were doing other things, were on other employment, and so they quit. You all quit and decided
No. What actually happened, my eldest brother, Teddy Kalanda Harrison, he was in Makerere University. All right? And then it was around 1972, October, or somewhere around there, that our dad passed away. So he was the eldest. He had to come back. He quit university in Uganda. He came back to take care of us, the younger ones. And that was how the band started, like I said. And then, luckily, our late father used to work for the Bamburi Cement Company. So they took Teddy and employed him like a replacement for our father.
All right.
You know, so he also quit that job when we decided, no, we want to do music. He quit the job.
He
And
also
then
quit them.
my other elder brother, Billy Sarro Harrison, he was at which is now the Technical University of Mombasa, back then being called Kenya
Mombasa
Polytechnic.
Mombasa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So luckily, all of us were doing well musically and academically.
Okay.
So he was there, and he also worked. After that, he went on to work at Bamburi Cement Factory. But then we all quit our jobs at the same time.
To focus on
the other brother that I immediately before me is also passed on, is late, George Zirro Harrison. He was at Maganlal. If you know Maganlal, I don't know what they used to call it. It was like a technical college also, studying mechanical engineering.
All right.
And at the same time. Yeah.
Okay, so would you say when you all quit to concentrate on the mushroom, that is when the fame of the band really erupted, and maybe that's when you started doing your own music?
No. When we quit, we were still a cover band doing cover versions, and we moved from playing at local pubs and weddings, and we moved to the more lucrative market of performing at tourist hotels.
All right.
You know, because we thought we wanted to go beyond. At that time, we had reached the ceiling doing the local pubs and all. And we saw our colleagues who were performing at the beach hotels, tourist hotels, earning more, performing for less hours. And we desired to be in that league. So we looked for jobs. Luckily, we got some jobs. And then we started performing 6 nights in those beach hotels, at the beach hotels.
Okay. These hotels are such as which ones?
We performed North Coast hotels. We did Serena Sea Lodge, Neptune, Bamburi, and almost the most big hotels back in the day. We got contracts lasting us, through the week, 6 nights in different hotels.
Oh, so those 6 nights were in different places.
Yeah.
And at that time, you are still playing the cover music. You had not started creating your own.
No, we had not.
I see.
We had not. And then after a while, we were contracted to the Severin Sea Lodge, where they had Severin Sea Lodge, Neptune, and a third hotel, which I can't remember. We were performing, rotating, between those hotels for 6 nights every week.
Oh,
so we were the resident band.
So that was a whole week. You only had one day to...
One day off, yeah.
To rest. Okay. So your biggest hit, I think, is Jambo Bwana.
Yes.
And Jambo Bwana is such a simple word, Jambo Bwana, greetings, just normal greeting. Ukikutana na mtu, Jambo Bwana, how are you? But then it has become phenomenal success. So, I mean, what's a trick? Because kusalimiana too, I mean, anybody could say Jambo Bwana, but we won't sell anything. But you did it, Jambo Bwana, and it's an international hit.
Okay, the first thing is that the song, like you say, is very simple and easy to learn.
Okay.
So anybody, big or small, Chinese, Japanese, anyone can sing that song. So that's number one.
Okay.
But we attribute everything to the Almighty God, because it's only God who knows the secret to making a hit song.
Yeah, okay, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. But then how did it come about? I mean, how did the idea come about? Let's do Jambo Bwana. Okay,
the song came about because at the beach hotels, the greeting usually is Jambo, Jambo. Any tourist coming in, a new lot coming in, the waiters, the staff would just welcome them by saying Jambo. And one day we had finished performing at the Severin Sea Lodge, and we were seated having refreshments at the bar. And Teddy said, "Hey, you know what? I've just gotten an idea. Listen to this." And he sang the song. He said, You know, these people keep saying Jambo, but I mean, when you welcome a gentleman, why don't we say Jambo, Jambo Bwana? And he started singing the song. The next day we were in the rehearsal room and we started rehearsing that song.
Jambo bwana, Kenya yetu hakuna matata.
So we finished rehearsing that song. It took us about a day. And in the evening, because we were still performing at the Severin Sea Lodge, in the evening we went and performed the song, and the response was overwhelming. People liked that song. And we said, okay, we are on the path now to be doing our own music.
That's when you
that's
started.
The first song we ever recorded.
Okay.
Song ever composed, first song ever recorded. Teddy is the one who composed the song. We recorded that song way back in 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk about can you talk about its success internationally? How it has gone since you performed it, since you composed and performed it?
Well, that song has given us so much in regards to success. One, locally, let's start locally.
Yeah.
Locally, it was the signature song for all bands performing in the hotel circuit at the coast of Kenya. And to date, it still is the signature song. It's
Do you get royalties for that?
No. From the performances they do at the hotels, no. It's used all over Kenya and beyond.
Okay, so it's a signature tune.
Yeah. But then when you talk about royalties, that song performed so well that we were awarded by Polygram Records. We were awarded a silver disc and then a gold disc, and then it went on to earn the band a platinum disc, which is the apex of what you can get from recognition from in as far as sales are concerned.
And platinum.
And then internationally, the song has given us so much success that because of the popularity of the song, we have toured so many countries in Europe, in Africa, in the Middle East. And I want to say we were the first ever band to perform in places like Rajasthan in India because of that song. And there's been so many cover versions of that song by big groups like Boney M.
Yeah.
If you remember Boney M, the group. Yeah. There's been a cover version by Barbara Froger from France. The Belgian Air Force has also done a cover version of that song, and there's so many other cover versions. Some because the royalties, some are pirated stuff, so we're still following up on that.
even the cartoon movie.
Okay, these guys are smart. You're talking about Disney.
Disneyland, yeah, Disney.
You're talking about Disney.
Lion King.
And the Lion King. You're talking about Disney and the Lion King.
Yes.
Okay, what happened with Disney is that they took the phrase Hakuna Matata. Because that's the chorus to the song. Kenya nchi nzuri, Hakuna Matata. So they took the phrase and got people to compose a song around the phrase. And they sang Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata on Lion King. Changed the melody, number one. Number two, they went and patented that phrase. They didn't copyright it, they patented it. So we would start fighting had they done the copyright. Because the copyright belongs to my brother. So they have big lawyers. They know how to play around with the law to get what they want. But one day we'll get the money from that. I promise everybody in the world. One day we'll get it.
Yeah, that should be yours, because before you created, or before your brother created anything about Jambo Bwana, nobody was thinking about it.
Exactly. We have done our research. We know that their first patenting of the phrase was done in 1983.
Yes.
We recorded the song in 1980. So you can see,
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
law, they
that's
say
true.
it was influenced. Their taking of that Hakuna Matata phrase was influenced by our song.
And
So there's still a
anybody,
window out there.
yes, and anybody who has heard your song, which is has been a success. Anybody who have heard your song, when they hear this thing in the movie, of course they remember your song. It's automatic.
Exactly.
It comes automatically. Yeah.
Exactly.
So your lawyers are following that.
Can't divulge much.
All right. That is something else. That's something else. So
Yeah.
for our,
That's a story for another day.
yes, for our listeners who may not understand, when you say platinum award, what does it exactly mean?
Okay, when you in music sales, when you reach a certain amount of sales units, you are awarded like an incentive or appreciation recognition. Initially, the silver disc, it's actually made of silver.
The same song in a disc.
Yeah. And then when you go beyond that, you hit the other threshold, you are awarded a gold disc.
Okay.
If you go beyond gold sales, you are awarded, you reach the highest threshold, you're then awarded the platinum disc.
So who awards you?
So this song has gone beyond that.
So who awards?
The record company. Back then we were signed to Polygram Records,
okay,
Kenya, which is like a branch of Polygram International.
All right, and platinum is when you sell over 200,000 records. Singles?
Yeah, but back in the day, right now you have to do much more. You know, the numbers have changed.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And okay. So you've been all over. In fact, you've been to over 20 countries. You played over in the world, 20 countries, Africa and Asia mainly. And is it just because of that song, or is it because of your general production?
No, it's a combination of both, you know, because as the band grew, we recorded other songs that became very popular within and without the country. You know, so it's a combination of two. And like when we started touring the Middle East, apparently there's so many East Africans working within the Middle East. You see, so some of them had taken our music there. So our music was quite popular even before we even started touring the Middle East.
All right.
And in Sharjah, one of the Emirates, that got us a deal in Dubai, and then Ras Al Khaimah, and then Abu Dhabi, and then we were off to Bahrain, and you know, we started that circuit. So it's a combination of both the song, Jambo Bwana, and our music.
And others. I've seen, I was looking at the document you sent me, and I noticed that Europe and Asia mainly, and many countries in Africa. But have you been to the US? Have you ever been invited to the US?
We've never been to the US. I can't explain why. We've never been to the US. We've always planned to, you know, tour the US, but we've never.
Okay. All right. And personally, you have been elected several times in the music fraternity, like copyright. Maybe on the business side of it, copyright. What do you call it? The agency, the Copyright Association.
Okay, I've been a director, appointed director at the Kenya Copyright Board. That is the regulator of collective management organizations in Kenya. There are actually 4 collective management organizations in Kenya. 3 music and 1 is for book publishers. So I was in that board for 6 years, and then after that I was elected as a director to the Music Copyright Society of Kenya, representing the Coast region. That's where I come from. But then I've had so many other, like I am a founder member of the Kenya Musicians Union, of which I'm the general secretary. But now through the Kenya Musicians Union, I was also elected to the International Federation of Musicians as a representative, one of the representatives for the East African region.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what does that federation, what is its role? What's the role of that federation?
Okay, the International Federation of Musicians is the umbrella body for all musicians unions in the world. So all musicians unions in any country have to be affiliated to the International Federation of Musicians. So it's like their umbrella body, and through that now, the Kenya Musicians Union has linkages to almost all unions around the world. Not all, but almost all, a good percentage of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, talking about copyright issues, there's been noise here and there about maybe many musicians complaining maybe they don't get their royalties, and even the way the money is collected, maybe from Abatatu, how would one, when they play the music, like there was some problem when maybe the collectors would go and harass even establishments, but there's a challenge there. I mean, what was your take on that?
Okay, there's a myriad of things that contribute towards the problems. One, as a director of MCSK, I acknowledge that there were problems in the past with boards prior to the current board that I'm serving in, and there's still some problems that we are trying to address. Number one. But number two, there's a lot of, if I may call it with all humility, a lot of ignorance on matters copyright. For example, many members, I want to talk about members. The problem we have, one, is people talk about MCSK not paying musicians. No, that is wrong. We are obligated or mandated to collect and distribute royalties to members, not all musicians in Kenya. That should be very clear.
To members.
Members only. You have to be a member of the MCSK, and your music has to be exploited commercially for it to generate revenue for you to be paid. All right.
Yes.
Now, their first album or their first single when they apply to become members. And then after that, they're supposed to register every fresh release so that that music is entered into the system, which goes on to monitor radio stations. But what happens? Musicians or members register their first recordings, 1 or 2, and then they release like 10 albums that are not registered, that have not been entered, whose data is not entered into the system, but the songs are playing, are in rotation, are getting airplay. So he or she hears the music being aired, and they assume that it's generating revenue for them. But the problem is, when your data is not in the system, it's like the simplest example I always give is, if your identity number is not within the government system, you will not get some services, because every time you go for those services, they cannot see you within the system.
Yes.
So with the music is the same. So when they don't, for example, Katana releases a new album today, I have to take it to the radio stations for publicity, promotion, and all that. But I have to also to register that song with the CMO I'm a member of. In this case, I would say MCSK, so that MCSK uploads that music into a monitoring system, so that when the song is played, like say on FM station 1, FM station 2, the system picks it up, says Katana's song was played on Friday at this time for this duration, and the song title is this, because it has that data in its data bank. But if that same song is aired and there is no data, the system picks the song, there's no data, says the unknown song. So the artist ends up not earning anything.
Oh, okay.
You get that?
Yes, I do.
So that is one problem. And we have that problem repeatedly because many members do not register their music. And then we've had another problem in the past where, yes, me being a member prior to becoming a director, I am one of them who used to complain. Yeah. Because we were so to get our music registered everywhere. But of course, there was something going on where we were not paid satisfactorily. I will not shy away from that. But the new board that is in place now is trying to sort out all these, like I said, myriad of problems.
Okay, so at least we have a system with the radio stations, maybe TV stations. Whenever they play a song, it is reflected. But how about clubs or other, for example, DJs who play the songs? How about them? How would I know, even if I'm registered and I've registered that song? How would the organization know that nyimbo ya fulani ilichezwa mahali fulani kwa club?
Okay, this is the explanation.
Yeah.
There's something that we call tariffs. These tariffs are categorized as per sector, the hospitality, transport, and what have you. And even within those sectors, then you go to a particular tariff. It has its subcategory. So, for example, if we have a 5-star hotel playing background music, they have a discotheque within the hotel, they have a 5 bars as is usual of a 5-star hotel, and they use music for commercial purposes. They have TVs all over that play music. They are given a certain category, a tariff that they will have to pay annually.
Oh, I see.
And if you have what we call lounge now, I would call them pubs and restaurants. There's a different category for that. Okay. There's a category for PSV vehicles that use music. Okay. Why so? Music is a product. Music is a product, like a soft drink is a product. Music is a product. And it's something that you have to pay for when you use it commercially. For example, broadcasters use a lot of music, and I dare to say, without music, no radio station, no TV station will survive.
Yeah, sure.
So you can see that's the value that music brings to the broadcasting industry. Yes. So it has to be paid for.
Okay. So what you are saying is a member, one has to first be a member. Secondly, register the song.
Register your music.
The music that they have
repeatedly when you release new stuff, new music.
I see. So how many members do you have?
And then you have to work hard to get your music aired, or your videos aired. And that's the only way it generates income. I would like to, at this point, to share something.
Yeah.
Like MCSK plus our sister CMOs have 2 modes of distribution. We have the general distribution and the broadcast or scientific distribution. Now, with the general distribution, there's a percentage of whatever has been collected after admin costs have been deducted, taxes like holding tax has been deducted, then a percentage of that is taken and divided amongst all members, in this case of MCSK. So MCSK has about 14,000 members plus, but if you take that mathematics with just 10,000 members, if it is 2,000, each member is given 2,000 general distribution, so the total sum would be 20 million. And then for the broadcast for scientific distribution, that is decided upon the logs generated from the monitoring system of radio stations. Now, here's one thing that also has its downside, because not all radio stations in Kenya, and they are, for example, when I say, let's talk about broadcasting stations. For radio, there's about 260 plus radio stations. Yeah, 260 plus. But not all of them are captured by the system. Why? Because the system captures only the stations that are online. Monitoring is done online. Are you with me? So your music might play on a station that is not online and it will not be captured. Why? Because the system captures only online radio stations. In the past, prior to the advent of the internet, the monitoring was done physically. And we are thinking the monitoring of radio and TV stations was done physically. You engage the services of company, like the companies that do poll surveys and all that, like Ipsos. Sorry for mentioning a name. And you engage them. They engage people to listen to radio stations through the day and write. You know, it's a very tedious exercise.
I know.
So we are thinking also going back to that, because there's so many radio stations that are not being monitored.
Itawezekanaje kufanya mapenzi pasipo na fikira? Itawezekanaje kufanya mapenzi pasipo na fikira? Heri niwe peke yangu mama, heri niwe peke yangu, heri niwe peke yangu ya, heri niwe peke yangu, heri niwe peke yangu mama, heri niwe peke yangu, heri niwe peke yangu mama, heri niwe peke yangu.
So welcome to our second part of recording with John Katana of the Mushrooms. We have various issues that we want to discuss this time. And one of them is, John, if you remember, those days, when you were growing up, we used to have people like Daudi Kabaka, used to have Fadhili Williams, Fundi Konde, and many other early Kenyans musicians who actually made a mark internationally. For example, Daudi Kabaka had his Helule, which was a hit internationally. In fact, it became a number one in top 10 in England for some time. Then Fadhili William had Malaika, and so on. There were international hits. And even at that time, Tanzanians were trying to keep up with the Kenyans. And the best person they had those days, I think, was Baraka Munshe or 5 people. But since then, Tanzania has overtaken us. There's something they've been doing right, which maybe Kenyans have not done properly. Because even in Kenya, we have more popular Tanzania more popular than our own Kenyan musician. So maybe you can comment about that.
Well, you see, initially, within the East African region, Kenya had the best studios.
Okay.
You know, especially one that would stood out was Polygram Studios.
All right.
And most musicians within the region came to record in Kenya. But then again, along the way, Tanzania, came up with their own studios. But the most significant thing that I can recall is that the late founding father of Tanzania, that is late President Julius Kambarage Nyerere,
yes,
came up with some policies that really supported local Tanzanian music, in that one of either a decree or one thing that he really emphasized on was the formation of bands by government parastatal organizations. And almost all had bands like DDC, Milimani Park, and what have you. They were all parastatal bands. And the other thing is that he almost, if I say, forced all musicians to sing in Kiswahili, the national language. Nobody was allowed to record music in other languages, in other local dialects and all that. And even foreign musicians based in Tanzania, mostly Congolese musicians,
yes,
had to sing in the national language, that is Kiswahili. And that's when we had hit songs like Shauri Yako and many others, So the other aspect that brought in, like if I would call it the unification of what Tanzanian musicians recorded, was the emphasis on the Kiswahili language. And the other thing is that before any music was released onto Radio Dar es Salaam, the only radio station back in the day,
Radio Tanzania, Dar es Salaam.
Tanzania, before,
yes,
before they even went and recorded, they had to take their lyrics to Baraza la Muziki Tanzania, which would peruse the lyrics and assert that they were lyrics that were meant, for all generations.
Okay.
And nothing explicit, nothing, hakuna matusi ndani ya hiyo.
Okay.
So that is a big contributor, and that carried on for a very long while. And then that culture has taken root in Tanzania. That's why you see even the so-called Kizazi Kipya, the young generation musicians of Tanzania today, are doing a lot of music in Kiswahili and very, very powerful lyrics. They can write very, very powerful and relevant lyrics to across generations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Kizazi Kipya, you're talking about Diamond, Ali Kiba, and such.
Sorry?
Kizazi Kipya. You talked about Kizazi Kipya, new generation. You're talking about Ali Kiba, Diamond, and the rest?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. If you listen to their music, their lyrics are very powerful, all in Kiswahili, and they have command of the language.
It's true.
And that is where, to a certain extent, their counterparts in Kenya have a problem.
Okay. What problem do our counterparts, the Kenyan counterparts have? What challenges would you say Kenyan musicians have as compared to Tanzanians?
Okay, Kenyan musicians lack, the music industry in Kenya lacks government support to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
Does not have government support.
Mm-hmm.
And if you compare to Tanzania, they almost have 100% government support. I say almost, because up to the late President Pombe Magufuli, you could see him focus on musicians, meeting musicians, wanting to know what ails the industry and all that. And he took measures. That happened even during President Jakaya Kikwete. You know, you go onto YouTube and you see meetings, him meeting musicians and all. And then the focus on the music industry by government is a bit stronger in Tanzania than in Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For example, we were talking earlier on elsewhere, and you talked about airtime given. There was a decree like airtime given to local musicians in Tanzania is much more percentage-wise than what Kenya's musicians are forced to share on airtime in the radios.
Yeah, there's a big difference. Let's look at some areas, you know, in the African continent. If you look at Nigeria, the airtime or airplay accorded to Nigerian music is almost 90%. Of whatever music is broadcasted on Nigerian airwaves. You come to go to South Africa is about 80-85%. You go to Tanzania, similar case. But when you come to Kenya, buy low. If you look at the Kenya Information and Communications Act, what is stipulated there is that local content should be local content. That means everything, movies, films, music should be 40%. That's a big shame. 40%, and 60% is other. They classify it as other, and definitely you can see on a TV station, on our radio stations, you can see the effect of that unfair law.
So others would mean what? Because 40%, obviously, the music industry is sharing with other stuff in the 40%. So they are already getting less than 40%, isn't it?
Yeah, as matters stand now, we're almost getting what? Kenyan music is only getting 15%, so to say. You just need to tune into any radio station, FM station, watch any TV station, and you'll see it for yourself. It's not rocket science. Anybody can just tune in and they'll see it for themselves.
And why is this? 40%, even that is not being imposed. But why do you think they've been laxed on imposing that 40% only for musicians? And why 40? Why not 60, for example?
Naively, I will say probably the government does not realize the value that music can bring to this country, or the value that music has. And the other thing is they do not realize that if this ratio is changed, there'll be a very, very big difference in the earnings of rights holders in the country. A very, very big difference. Had it been 60-40 in favor of Kenya, that could be noticed immediately. And then why don't we benchmark on international best practice? Okay. The world, each country's, almost every other country's constitution talks about preservation of its culture, preservation of its arts and culture. You see, you can't do that with allocating 40% to your local content.
It's true. And it's very important for the artists to get a good share of airplay in their own radio station. Why is this so important?
Because airplay generates revenue, for rights holders. I'll stick to music. That's my domain.
Yeah.
The more your song is played, the more it's being monitored, every likelihood that you'll earn higher royalties.
Okay. And that would
Especially
mean,
scientific royalties that are pegged on broadcast. You know, yeah.
And this, of course, would mean more enough space for local musicians to come in and have their talents exposed and be seen out there, because right now not enough is being shown, and therefore they are not discovered.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you quite well. There was a glitch in the net.
All right, I'm saying this: if they were given enough airtime, more and more musicians would be discovered, because right now, because of getting such little airtime, many are out there languishing there without being discovered.
Yes. Yeah, of course, you know, the purpose of protecting copyright and making sure that commercial usage of copyright and related rights is paid for. It also augurs well for creatives. You know, the rights holders, people that compose, people that perform, because it gives them an incentive to work even harder to earn even more, you see.
And even
so this is what is lacking somehow.
And even produce much more, improve every time they produce something.
Yes, the more you earn, the more you can afford better studios, the more you can say, take more time on working on your music. So it has a very good and positive effect if the airplay ratios are taken to the highest.
Okay, and so what has you people, the musicians, or the group of musicians or the organization, what have you done to see the government improve this?
Well, I'll talk on behalf of the Music Copyright Society, and probably by extension there's collective management organizations. We are in talks with the Communications Authority of Kenya, which is the custodian of the Kenya Information and Communications Act, so to say. We are in talks. We have been talking to them, and I think last year but one, they agreed that this would be changed, and in an incremental fashion, so that within the next 4 years, from when we had these talks, we would have reached the 60-40 in favor of Kenyan music, but we see very little being done.
How long ago was that? You say within 4 years, but how long ago was that?
I think it was 3 years ago, 2018 there.
Wow. And even 60% is still not comparable with South Africa or Nigeria, for example, and Tanzania.
Yeah, that's why I said Kenya, or the Kenyan government, needs to benchmark against the international best practices.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we keep on pushing them and hope for the best. One of these days they will wake up. And I think if politicians themselves, or rather people who are concerned themselves, if they owned, or if their relative owned bands, I'm sure they would have done something.
They're yet to see they're yet to see the contribution that music, or the creative industry in general, can contribute towards the economy of the country, especially, I mean, the GDP. Look at other countries. Look at America. Look at the way the creative industry contributes. Okay, it's very advanced. It's a very advanced country. It's a first world country. But a small impact would be felt if things were done right in Kenya too.
I believe so, because I also remember ABBA. You remember ABBA?
Yes.
ABBA from Sweden. At one time, their music was the highest exporter. You know, foreign income for Sweden. At one time, they were the highest. The second highest in the same country was Volvo, the vehicle.
Volvo, yes, I remember that.
Yeah, so music can do a lot. So, and all it needs is encouragement. Yeah,
Yeah,
now,
I think it's one thing to make laws
mm,
and another thing to enforce them.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
You know,
You're
some
right.
of the laws in the Copyright Act are very good, but they're not being enforced
Mm,
to the letter.
okay.
So that's where the problem is.
All right. Now, hopefully, sooner or later, eventually, we hope things will work out. But for now, I understand from our earlier communication that the mushroom band has over the years given back to society, and not many people know about this because you're also involved in charity. Apart from entertaining and bringing music and earning from the music, you have also been giving to society for quite some time. Can you share with us a number of your charitable, exercises that you have been involved in?
Yeah, we've been involved in initiatives, to do with charity and charitable organizations uh, a lot, and we've been doing that. We usually have 2 or 3 years.
Mm.
We take a new program every 2 or 3 years. We
Okay.
started off with the Ziwani School for the Deaf in Mombasa when we were still based there,
Mm.
and we went on to do shows. They had a break-in at the school, and a lot of hearing aids, beddings were stolen.
Wow.
And we did 2 shows
Mm.
whereby we could raise enough to buy them 60 hearing aids and a
Okay.
lot of beddings and food. And then from there, we continued. We've been like in our home area,
Mm.
Kaloleni.
Mm.
We have paid school fees for a student from Form 1 to Form 4. Today, he's the chief of the area,
Wow. Wow. That's
Kaloleni
interesting.
location.
That's nice.
We've done shows like the
Meaning,
recent one.
meaning, without your contribution, that person would not have been a chief because through your contribution, through
Okay,
your
probably, but God uses people to bless
Oh yeah,
people.
you're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, so we've done a lot of that. We've been involved, in like we contributed
Mm.
the first ever song
Mm.
on HIV campaign, AIDS, way back in the 80s, when people were coming alive to HIV and AIDS. We were the
Mm.
first band in Africa to
Mm.
record a song, an AIDS awareness campaign song,
Mm.
which we donated to the Ministry of Health
Health.
back
Mm.
then.
Mm.
And it went a long way in sending the message, creating awareness
Which
back
song?
then.
Can you remind us?
We've done a
Can you remind us which
sorry?
song? Can you remind which song it was?
Ukimwi ni hatari kwa maisha yako,
Oh yeah.
jikinge na ukimwi,
Yes.
wacha usharati.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
remember that?
I remember that one. Yes, I remember that one. Yes.
Yeah, and we've done a song on the Save the Rhino campaign.
Okay.
Again, back in early 90s.
Mm.
Recently, we did a project which we partnered with the Freedom from Fistula Foundation,
Mm.
the Ministry of Health, Kilifi County Government,
Mm.
where we had shows.
Mm.
We composed a song and organized with the Freedom from Fistula Foundation. We had clinics and all that, and about 120 women who were suffering from fistula had were operated on, and today they're free from Fistula Foundation.
That's good.
We've
That's
done
good.
a lot. The list
That's
is endless, but usually we don't seek publicity on such.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But we can share photos, we can share, newspaper cuttings, the little that we do, and
yeah, I
we
saw
keep
them.
on doing.
Yeah, I saw some of those cutting which you had sent me earlier, and it's quite commendable for you because the society out there, even those who have never heard of you, can actually see you, go to them and donate what you can donate, which is quite good.
Yeah,
And to wind up, I think not. I think I know from this discussion and earlier on, I know you both your parents as a group because you have a group of about 4 or 5 brothers. And we know your parents, particularly your mother, was a choir. She had some music in her blood. And I don't remember whether your dad was the same, but But the five brothers, were you five brothers or four?
5 brothers, yes.
Yes. And then at least we know your son. I think he's Kalume. He's in
Yeah.
the new generation. I don't know. Can you tell us about him and whether any of his cousins are also in the same, coming to the same line?
Yeah, Kalume is come of age. He started doing music at the age of around 5 thereabout.
Okay.
You know, he started off with he loved to play the drums.
Uh-huh.
Then he switched because I didn't want to impose on him.
Mm.
So he switched to the guitar. My late brother taught him how to play the guitar. Then he switched again to the keyboards. I taught him how to play the keyboards. And then in the secondary school, he came in Form 1. He came and settled on the tenor and alto sax. So he's been doing that. He's been taking music as a subject in school.
Okay.
He's just come home, you know, after doing his Form 4. And when I asked him, okay, tell me, how do you think you're gonna fare in your exams? He said, Dad, for the rest, let's wait. But for music, I know I'm getting an A.
Wow. That is good. That is good. We wish him all the best.
So he's almost taking over from my elder brother, because Teddy, my elder brother, played the saxophone in the band.
Yeah,
he's a bit indisposed at the moment, and every time during school holidays, Kalume used to stand in for him.
Okay. That's nice. That's nice. So we wish your son all the best. What does he have? Maybe other cousins like your brother's children?
Yes. Teddy's sons, both. He has 2 sons. Both the first one and second born are musicians. You know, Henry, the firstborn, plays almost all instruments. Not all, but almost all. He's a very gifted young man.
Okay.
And the second-born plays the bass guitar. You see, my son plays the saxophone. One of my daughters sings very well. So,
so are
maybe
they going to form their own group, or they are going to be merged into them mushrooms?
We really don't know at this moment in time, but we as the elder mushrooms, we would like them to continue from where we will leave the stage, you know, get off the scene.
That will be...
So they can come in, and so that we have a continuation of them mushrooms, but with a new generation.
That will be something to watch,
yeah.
And we look forward to you know, to continue the line of them mushrooms. And I think we should, I think you mentioned about your brother Teddy Kalanda. You'll pass our greetings, and Paul, you said he's indisposed, and we wish him quick recovery, and the whole band will wish you all the best. But before you go, before I release you, I would like you to give us a final word as Kenyans in general, and as people there who may want to go into the music industry. What do they need to look at? These are people, okay, general message for Kenyans to the government and the young
general
people.
Message to,
okay, just give us.
I would tell Kenyans, you know, music is a business like any other, maybe with a very different aspects, you know, of the nitty-gritties. But not all children are born with academic minds. So once you see your son, your daughter showing some musical talent in them, support them. We were supported by our mother so much, and that's why I can say confidently, support them. You never know what will happen 10 years from now, 5 years from now. Not all of us were born to be doctors. Imagine a world without music.
Oh yeah, it will be very boring.
How would it be?
Very boring. Sometimes I like working with music in the background.
Exactly.
Yes.
So things are changing. The fear around is that you can't make a living off music. Them mushrooms has made a living off music.
Okay.
We've seen our kids through school. We're still in the music industry, in the music business. So it's It depends on individuals.
All right.
Really.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much, John, Katana, Harrison. And Kenya is a different place because of you. I mean, we would not be where we are as Kenyan music without them mushroom. It would be something totally different. And you have inspired a lot of people, and I'm sure you'll continue inspiring many other people. So thank you very much. Say hi to your brothers, your family. Na nimwambia huyo kijana tunangoja kuona exam. So thank you very much.
Sawa kabisa.
Yeah, so thank you very much and hope to see you soon.
Thanks for having me on the podcast, on the show. God bless, man. It's been a while, but we've reconnected. Let's stay in touch.
You're right. Okay, kwaheri, all the best. Nice time.
Cheers.
Mama Kolola, 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 Mama Kolola, Kolola, Embedodo, limelala mchangani, Embedodo, limelala mchangani, wahuba na mazoea, uwe wangu wa milele. Wahuba na mazoea, uwe wangu wa milele. Kolola, Mama Kolola, Kolola, Mama Kolola, Embedodo, limelala mchangani, Embedodo, limelala mchangani, wahuba na mazoea, uwe wangu wa milele. 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 Ajali haikingiki, asainipo Mola mwenyewe. Kweli ajali haikingiki, asainipo Mola mwenyewe. Ni chombo imara chenye thamani, kilichopasishwa Uingerezani, kilinguruma ligoni likatiririka, wale pasenja wakapelea bahari. Dereva kombo, ungama zako zimekwisha, kwetu Mombasa jirani wazi kwa shirika. Tuliona hivyo kwa